All right. I love how this always tells me that we're going live, and then by the time it goes up, we've already been live for like 10 seconds. So greetings. And of course, I touched something wrong and all goes to hell. Good evening, Man Cave Sports, back with a NBA Conference Finals preview edition. Got all five of the regular Wolves talking heads here tonight, so we're well represented. But anyways, we'll first talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. You got the New York Knicks taking on the Indiana Pacers, number 3 versus number 4 seed, as the 1 and 2 Cavaliers and Boston Celtics were eliminated. So, Brett, I'm going to start with you. I don't know how much of the series that you watched, but it was pretty intriguing. I do think, and I'm talking specifically about the Knicks and the Celtics, but I know Tatum went down. That obviously spoiled their chances. I think once they went down 3-1, it was going to be insurmountable, but they were up pretty handedly at the end of game 4 with Jason Tatum down. But I guess give me your synopsis of both the how well the Knicks played the Celtics as well as how well the Pacers played against the Cavaliers.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely watched the whole series. I didn't watch it nearly as in depth as I might watch a Wolves game. I'm not dissecting everything. The thing with New York is that, yeah, they won that series and game 1 and 2, monster comebacks, but you were still down 20. So, I mean, there's a lot that New York's going to have to go take a look at in the film room and address prior to dealing with Indy. I think Indy's really tough. That's another team that, took on a bit of an injury riddled Cavaliers team. But man, Indy's been hot. I don't have, again, not a terribly scientific take on this series. I'm just like, my gut's telling me Indy is going to have something for New York. That the way that those guys were celebrating in the streets, like they just won a ring, I think that you got a tough Indy team waiting in the wings. But either way, I'm just excited for that series from just a personal preference standpoint. I'm just bored with Boston. It was good to get some new blood in there. New York, love them or hate them, it's cool to have Madison Square Garden on a big stage. Makes it exciting. I think it's good for the game. Got some personalities there. I think Jalen Brunson is super fun to watch. I think the version of Tyrese Halliburton that we be getting is really exciting. So that's been my just kind of low stress watch, is seeing what's going on over in the East. Outside of really kind of wanting that boogeyman in Boston to get taken care of, once we knew that that was not the looming threat that it is without Tatum, started to become more of a relaxing watch. So good basketball over there. But yeah, I think both those teams have some things that they need to work on. Like I said, Indy beat a depleted Cleveland team, but they looked like a machine doing it. And New York's got to figure out how they found themselves down 20 points twice, because they can't do that against Indy. So
No.
I don't know. I guess my gut's telling me Indy takes that one. I won't bet the farm on it, though. I just don't know enough about those two squads, but I'm excited for that. Some new blood in the Eastern Conference Final, so exciting.
Yeah, no doubt. The Knicks have not been in the conference finals for I think 25 years. So reason why their fans were climbing light poles like they were
Yeah.
Eagles fans. Razor,
Yes,
I
sir.
believe you have some of the information at how these two teams fared against each other during the regular season, which, as we know, can be insignificant or significant, but gives
Right.
us an idea of how they've handled each other throughout the year.
Well, I didn't get to dig in too deep into like who was playing, who wasn't, but it looks like the Knicks won the series 2-1. Two of the games happened very early in the season, though. October 25th was one game. That's the game that the Knicks won that game by 25. They played again about 2 weeks later, and the Pacers won that one by 11. And then they played again back in February. Wolves. I'm already thinking about the Wolves. The Knicks won by 13. I think just overall, though, just getting into like the overall stats, I like to talk about offensive ratings and what have you. It looks like the Knicks were 5th overall in offensive rating. Pacers were 9th. And then defensive rating, they were kind of both middle of the pack. The Knicks were 13th and the Pacers were 14th. They were so close together in their defensive rating. So, I mean, I think this should be a really fun series. And I mean, I think the Pacers love to play fast, and then you have the Knicks who have Cat, Brunson, who are going to light it up probably offensively, and then you have the defensive stoppers on the wings for the Knicks. So I'm excited about this series. It should be a fun one.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And it starts Wednesday night. Mr. Steve, talking about both teams' benches and depths. Obviously, the coaches have different philosophies. We know that Tibbs likes to keep his guys in there, keeps his rotation to about 8, where Indiana seems like they have a little more depth and rely on their bench a little more. So tell me about the bench matchup as it pertains to both of these teams.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. One has a bench, one really doesn't, right? Tibbs doesn't run very deep. He never has. He likes to run his star players for a reason. Um, and I don't think that's going to work very well against Indiana. I mean, Indiana's shown throughout these playoffs that they're able to run and gun and whether they got to just outrun you or whether they're going to outshoot you, and just have better percentage. Either way, they've got enough bodies to keep coming at you in waves, right? They just have a better, deeper bench that New York can't match up with. Now, New York has got gamers in Cats and you've got Brunson, but it's not even close. I mean, Indiana's bench is going to be able to is going to outscore and outrun the Knicks. Now, I thought that the Celtics were going to match up better against the Knicks with Porzingis and some of their Horford and some of these other guys being able to help out with Towns and whatnot. But really, it's they're just not able to keep going with them. That's the bottom line. Pacers have a much more well-rounded team. They play a team brand of basketball. Halliburton doesn't have to go off. The Siakam can be the guy one night, Halliburton can be the guy other night, and that bench keeps coming at you in waves. So the Knicks are going to have a problem. But it all comes down to Brunson and Cat and how much they can handle on a night by night basis. But if you're talking straight up bench, it's not even close. It's Pacers are going to win that battle every time.
All right, Mr. Naughton,
Yes, sir.
give us an X factor for it could be a player, it could be something strategic. Give us one for each team.
Well, the X factor for the Pacers, I think what's changed in the last 2 years. I mean, they're just also rans, flyover country. Nobody wants to go there. That trade for Siakam, I mean, that changed the whole squad, changed the whole attitude. They go as he goes, it seems to me, on both ends of the floor. On the other end, Tibbs is the X factor for the Knicks. I mean, is he going to be malleable? Is he going to stretch from what he's going to do? Because just like Mr. Steve says, they're going to come in waves. Carlisle uses that bench. He uses all 11 of them. I mean, and it's just going to come. And it's going to beat him down. It's what Tibbs do we see? I mean, he's older. He's wiser. We'll see. And that's about all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I've got 2 X factors for each team as well. That'll chime in on this series. Obi Toppin, who looked like Reggie Miller when he came into town and beat the Timberwolves a couple months ago. And he had some run last playoffs, the playoffs last year. So he's kind of used sporadically. Some games they don't use him as much, but he's one of those guys that can come in there out of nowhere and just get hot. So I think if he gets some playing time, he could play a huge part in how well the Pacers do. Obviously, they got, Halliburton, Siakam, Miles Turner, I've always been impressed with. But I think topping off their bench could be something that, especially when New York goes to their bench, something that could be an advantage for them. On the other hand, Mikal Bridges, I watched all the Knicks and Celtics games. That guy went off at the end of games. He was quiet for the first 3 quarters in a few of them, but man, once he gets cooking both offensively and defensively, I mean, he's definitely a factor. So, I mean, I think if he plays a solid series, is consistent, the Knicks have a chance. And I'm still torn on my pick, but I'm going to go around to you guys, and I'll probably get it figured out by the time we get back to me. Brett, what's your pick for the Knicks and Pacers series?
Let's go Pacers in 6. New York's going to be worn out. Tibbs playing those starters a little too long in the last series. Pacers in 6.
Razor.
I'm biased. I have a special place in my heart for the Knicks, but I think I'm going to be basing this off my head, not my heart. I'm going with the Knicks in 6, and the reason I say that is because I mean the Knicks are, I believe, coming into this series healthy. Mr. Steve makes a great point about the depth on Indy, but I think I'm going to ride the elite players. I think the Knicks have 2 elite players in Brunson and Cat, or all NBA level players. Indy has 1 in Halliburton. And then if you add in the elite defense that Anunoby and Mikal Bridges can play, I I'm going to go with the top heavy team in New York in 6.
Okay. Mr. Steve.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because the Pacers do have the bench. Siakam versus Cat, you've got some different things in there as far as offense, defense, outside shooting, inside presence. It's really tough, but when you putting on where is it here? Okay, there we go. Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
It's a little bit heavy. This is thicker. I don't see a storyline that makes sense for the NBA for Indiana versus OKC. I don't think they can sell that. Like Halliburton versus SGA, I don't think they can sell that. SGA versus New York. Okay, you can see that. The big thing, New York's back in there, 25 years since Ewing, all this other stuff, right? But um, so it's really tough. I think the Knicks get it done. It's going to be either 6 or 7 games. That's not going to be easy. Because they're going to be tired and they're going to have to really work. But I think the Knicks will pull it out. I mean, on paper, the Pacers should do it because they've got, they're a better all-around team. They've got scoring that can come from multiple places. They do run 9-10 deeps at times with their bench, and they just keep coming at you. But my I don't see the NBA selling Indiana versus OKC or in all Midwest finals. I can't see that it would be Indiana versus Minnesota or Indiana versus OKC. So I'm taking the Knicks in 6 or 7.
Good God. I can't even write something down without this camera just turning off. Just a slight touch or a mouse fart. I got to get a different camera. All right. I'm sorry, Steve. Could you repeat that while I was what was your prediction again?
Yeah, I'm going Knicks in 6 or 7.
Which one? Now you sound like Naughton.
Well, I did put on the tinfoil hat when I started. I mean, come
Well,
on,
six or 7.
6 or 7. We'll say Knicks in 7. How does that sound? That makes you
That's
feel
better.
good. Knicks. They're going to need 7 to, because they're going to have to get that extra day, extra game at home.
Mr. Naughton.
Well, I hate to agree with my colleague, Mr. Steve. My mind and my eyes just watching the game, Indiana's a better team, deeper team. I don't want to dog on Tibbs, probably a better coach team. My eyes say with Mr. Brett, Indy's the better team, Indy in 6. But my gut says New York in 7. David Kahn said it best. We were talking about it earlier. The NBA has a history and a habit of creating compelling storylines. So that's what I'm going with.
All right. You said 6, right? Or 7?
7.
Okay. Sorry, I'm writing these down because I know we sit and try to bring him back up a week or 2 from now, and in the text chain, it's pages away. So, for me, man, I've been torn all day about this one, and obviously, I have some bias in me too because I want to see Cat go there. Not to mention, I mean, how cool would it be if the Timberwolves and Knicks ended up playing each other after that barn burner of a trade to start the season? So, um, I think either way, this series is going 7. I think it's going to be a great series. I think you're going to get a lot of high drama, probably a couple of games that come right down to the last play or the last minute as well. So, should be fun to watch. But I'm going to go with my heart over my head on this one. Knicks in 7. All right. I did see as well, our old friend Kat is, I believe, the first player in NBA history to go to a Western Conference Finals and an Eastern Conference Finals the following year. So Kat's out there making history. This is, as you once said, this is what movies is made of. Anyways. Oh, sorry. I adjusted myself and it feels like somebody stabbed me in the side. All right, let's move along to the Timberwolves versus the Thunder. You got the number 6 seed in the Timberwolves, fresh off of series of victories over the Lakers and Warriors in 4-1 gentlemen's fashion. And the Thunder, who are obviously the number 1 seed, had the best record in the NBA, one of the best regular season records in NBA history. I have not looked at odds much today. I would assume, or predictions. My assumption is the Timberwolves are going to go into this one, obviously as the underdog, which I'm sure they like. If I'm sure Ant's sitting there licking his chops because they seem to play a little better when they're the underdog. So as we have seen over the years. So, Brett, I'll start with you. What do you take for the Timberwolves? What do you take from the 2 series prior? I mean, obviously the Lakers, they went in there and we know the Lakers don't have a stout defense. Beat the Warriors, who struggled without Steph. A lot of people seem to think that Steph would have made the difference. I don't, and might have maybe won another game in my opinion. But just talk about how the Wolves performed, and how well you think they perform in the first 2 rounds, and will it be enough to cut it? Sorry, little thunder just shook me. Do you think?
Me too, buddy. Me too. I thought the house is wiggling a little bit there.
Yeah. Do you think they'll be able to get by the Thunder with the same effort that they had in the first 2 rounds? Sorry.
With the exact same effort, no. I think that when they were good, they were great for the past 2 series, and we really need to harness that. I think, as I mentioned before we jumped on, I know OKC had a historically great regular season, but we've been arguably the best team in the NBA since March 1st. So that's what I'm, kind of hanging my hat on right now. However, you look at some of those moments in the previous 2 series with things that just aren't going to fly against this Thunder team, is you got to protect the ball. You have to protect the ball. They're going to be looking to pick Julius's pocket. I think there's a lot of nice things that we can hope for with Julius going up against these bigs, a little more athletic, a little quicker and slicker. Might give Chet some issues. Might be a little too tough for Chet. I know he outweighs him by a hefty margin, but they're going to be trying to pick his pocket, so he's got to be ready for that. We might need some more Mike Conley minutes. You're going to have guys that can protect the ball. You really got to stay away from that Oklahoma transition defense too. I mean, as we saw with the way that Caruso guarded Jokic, I mean, it was a hackathon. He's getting his flowers as this little man that shut down one of the greatest bigs of all time. But I saw almost nothing legal about the way that he was guarding Jokic. Where the Wolves can't get caught up is hanging out on the other end and bitching and flailing and throwing their arms up. Well, OKC's got the ball and they're in transition, run and gun, and they've already scored on us while we're still back there complaining about the foul that we didn't get. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There's going to be calls that we don't like in this series. That's just what this version of the OKC Thunder have in their DNA. It's part of the game. We're going to have to be ready for that. Fortunately, we got ourselves a nice little break, and I think that have faith in Finchie and this coaching staff to have dialed into that on film, instilled that in these guys. Regardless if it was Denver or OKC, we knew that we're going to have to protect the ball better. And that's a storyline going into it. So I really hope that they worked on that, and I hope that they're ready for what's ahead. So Mike Conley minutes, Julius, protect that ball, and just don't get caught up in the frustration and protesting while OKC's scoring on you. That's all I ask. And I think we can do that. We got a good chance. The best version of us can absolutely hang with them. We split with them in the regular season. We lost like 13 games, and 2 of them were to us. So let's go get 4 more, but you got to stay focused in. You're not going to get away with the same things that you could get away with on a depleted Golden State team and an older and thinner Los Angeles roster. So just got to focus up, but
All right. Appreciate that. Razor, as Brett alluded to, the Timberwolves split the season series with the Thunder 2-2. There was one game in particular I remember, I believe They were down 20 something at one point, and I believe they erased a 16-point deficit in like the last 3 or 4 minutes, ended up winning in overtime. So, uh, matchup with OKC has been exciting this season. Talk a little bit about it. And disclaimer, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but gives you an idea of what they've looked like against each other on the court.
I think the Wolves and the OKC played like against one another like 3 times in about a 1.5 week span. And I don't think Rudy Gobert nor Julius Randle played in either of the games. And so it really did show that when the Wolves are forced to go small, they can really get a lot done with the young players like Jalen Clark and TSJ. Naz Reid played incredibly. But as Brett said, the Wolves have been one of the best teams, probably the second best team along with OKC in the NBA since March 1st. And that's when Julius Randle, right around the time he came back from his injury and has been playing at an all NBA level. So I think it's a different team. The Wolves are different now than when they played them. Julius Randle is a different player than when they played OKC earlier in the season. I think Brett makes a really good point, though, about the turnover situation. The Wolves took care of the ball against the Lakers, did not so well against the Golden State Warriors. And this team, OKC, forces a crap ton of turnovers. And so that does worry me a little bit. But speaking of matchups, though, I think Randall can really get some bully ball done against these guys. I think he can take Chet. I think he can face up Hartenstein as well. I think this is going to be a matchup in which Naz Reid can get it going. I was actually kind of surprised when I saw Naz Reid, which is shooting like 46% from three. I feel like he hasn't been that great in the playoffs thus far, but apparently he's shooting really well. Maybe I'm just been kind of tinted or slanted because of his defensive effort, but he, I heard a stat, I don't remember it, but he has been killing OKC this season, and I think for the past two. So I think big keys are Julius Randle, Naz Reid have to just cook and use their size, use their skills, and use their physicality on OKC because OKC is not, even though they've added Hartenstein, they're not a very big team. So those are the matchups they really have to win.
Yeah, no doubt. Steve, we saw in the first 2 rounds, the bench, I would say, for lack of a better term, was a bit inconsistent. Nas had his moments, but we all chronicled throughout the series, both series, that Dante DiVincenzo, while hustling and making some great plays, his shooting was definitely subpar for what he's capable of doing. And Nikhil as well. I know Nikhil had a very good game there towards the end of that series, but there were games where you couldn't find him with a searchlight. Talk a little bit about the Wolves bench versus the Thunder's bench. And obviously the Thunder, just like we had talked about with Indiana, seem to run deep. I mean, we run 8 deep, they can run 9 or 10, but Finchie, very much like Tibbs, does not seem to go that route. I mean, maybe we'll see a surprise. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of a TSJ or a Jalen Clark this series. But talk about the benches a little bit.
Yeah, OKC has got 10 players that have registered at least 9 minutes or more in all 11 games of the playoffs. So they're not afraid of using their bench. Um, the Wolves bench has been less than stellar. I mean, defensively, we've been doing okay. I mean, we chronicled Nas issues and DiVincenzo's lack of focus at times and stupid fouls and things like that. But um, the these teams match up so well, realistically. Like when you to go through and take a look at scoring, you take a look at rebounds, you take a look at, who's got the most points in the playoffs, who's got the better point differential, who's got the better defensive rating. They are neck and neck with each other on all these different things. So the bench play is going to be huge to being able to bring this one home. If Na and DiVincenzo don't show up again, that's going to cause us some problems, that's for sure, because we're going to need them. They're going to come after Rudy. Harkenstein and Chet are both averaging. Chet Holmgren's averaging almost 10 rebounds a game in the playoffs. Harkenstein's averaging 9 boards a game in the playoffs. Um, our interior presence, if they were smart, they'd attack at Rudy and try to get him in trouble to beat. So then we can't get as many boards as they can, because that's one of the things that they thrive on is the rebounding. They've got two guys right there that are getting 15, 20 boards, 15 to 20 boards a game. So our bench has got to show up. Nas has got to show up. We're going to need to probably see TSJ at some point here, because I'm anticipating with the whistle that OKC gets, we're going to have some foul trouble with either Nas or Randall or Rudy, and so we're going to have to get TSJ in there. Maybe a Lucas sighting. I don't know. Possibly. It depends. Depends on what they do with Chet and Harkenstein going after Rudy. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, OKC's bench very deep. 10 guys with almost 10 minutes or more in all 11 games of the playoffs.
All right, Mr. Non, let's talk about two Timberwolves who played hard, but maybe a little inconsistent, but that the team will definitely need here in the Western Conference Finals. And I'm talking about Mike Bite Conley and Rudy Gobert.
Well, Mr. Brett, he brought it up earlier. The turnovers have just been atrocious in that Golden State series. It was a mucking it up kind of series, but with this team and their defense, and I think they even go 11 deep during the thing, and that transition defense, picking their pockets, this team gets away with murder on defense. I watch them fall on every single possession, and nothing's really called. And then on offense, you blow on them wrong, boom. I think Bite, I mean, he told them before the playoffs started, hey, I don't want to be selfish. I'm old. Do it for me. I kind of have a feeling that, like Mr. Brett said, that they're going to want to have him out there more than 9, 12 minutes a game, maybe 17, 18 minutes there. As far as Rudy goes, I'd like to find some matchups when Hartenstein's out there. And the whole thing that we can go small as well and get some stuff done. I mean, you don't want to like take the bait, and you kind of want to stay big. So Rudy is the question mark for me. I feel a big thing from Bite, but Rudy, let's just see how it goes out.
Yeah. And I mean, the good thing for Rudy in the closeout games, he's looked pretty damn well. Game 5 of both the Lakers and Warriors series. All right, I'm gonna throw a couple Thunder names out for you guys. Talk about what you've seen so far in the playoffs and how you think they will perform versus the Timberwolves. So, Brett, and I'll probably just skip Shea because I'm sure everybody else is talking about him. Let's try to do something original. Brett, talk about Dort. He gets a reputation for his defense. He's a decent three-point shooter. Saw him quite a bit in this series. I know earlier in the series he was struggling with his shot, but talk a little bit about Dort, because I believe he will probably end up with the Ant matchup, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I think I would have to bet you're going to stick Dort on Ant. I think one thing that I picked up from Ant's end on offense in that Golden State series is, I don't know if I discussed it with this group, but one of my beliefs is it's definitely going to get tougher than what Golden State presented, but it might not get trickier, right? Like Golden State threw a lot of different looks at Ant. They wheeled GP out there a couple times. It was a different look. They tried new things. Steve Kerr's a creative guy. So Ant eventually found a way to break everything that they threw at him, and it wasn't always easy. I don't think that we're going to get the credit we deserve for beating that Golden State team defensively. They were almost more challenging defensively with Steph out. So I think that Ant had a couple good sparring sessions to get him ready for the big fight with Lou Dort. So I think he knows exactly what he's dealing with Dort. And I'm not saying that means it's going to be easier than what he had to deal with Golden State, but I think that he's primed right now. He's had a few different looks. I I don't want to get too excited about it, but man, I would bet that Ant-Man finds a way to figure Dort out over the course of the first 2, 3 games. Like I said, it might be a boxing match. You might have to have a feel out round in game one, but he's tough, he's physical. And Ant thrives on that though. So it's going to be really interesting to watch, really entertaining. If I didn't have like such a just vested personal interest in this series, I would be watching that with popcorn. But I'm going to be watching it with a little more tension and stress because these are our guys. But no, I feel confident it's gonna be tough for him. But the way that he found a way to break through with every other challenge thus far in the playoffs, I think he can figure Lou Dort out. It may take a game or two, but we'll get there.
Appreciate that, Brett. Razor,
Yes.
what about Alex Caruso?
He's been great. He's been doing exactly, I think, what they hoped he would do when they acquired him. Battle-tested veteran, can hit big shots, and he's hitting threes at a really high clip. I think overall, OKC has been really struggling from three as a team. I think they're at about 31.9% as a team. And if you look down the line, so many of their guys are sub 30%. Shea, SGA, Jalen Williams, Dort. I could go on, but he's been the lone bright spot with 3-point shooting. He's shooting about 42% from three. And yes, he's been maybe getting away with murder on defense on Jokic, but I've seen some of the games and he's getting it done on the perimeter as well. And I mean, he's making plays defensively. He's getting stops. He's bringing energy. And again, I haven't watched the series that or their previous series that closely, but I've gotten to watch parts of it. And I would argue that OKC looks a little tight. They look like a team that knows they're supposed to win it all or they're supposed to get to the finals this year. And he, I think, adds a calming while he's fiery, while he's energetic. He brings this leadership quality that I think gives them a comfort of, hey, we can get this done. I'm going to help us get there. And he's been great. I wish he was on our team, but Caruso, I love him as a player. Again, I hate that he got away with so much against Jokic, but damn, the dude can ball and defensively, and I mean he's hitting shots. Like I said, I mean he's averaging almost 2 steals a game. It'll be interesting to see who they put him on in this series. Will they put him on Randall at times? I would think. They're going to put him on Ant, I'm sure, at times. They're probably going to play him off ball because he plays the passing lanes well. So he brings a very different dimension to their team. But that said, maybe we can note this for later, but man, that they've struggled for shooting for pretty much the entire playoffs as a team, except him.
Okay. Sounds good. Hopefully, hopefully him and Dante will go at it and we'll see the Dante of 2024 postseason. All right, Mr. Steve, Jalen Williams.
Yeah. Jalen Williams, he's almost 20 points a game. He's averaging almost 6 boards a game. I'm going to be interested to see how they use him. Are they going to put him on Rudy to try and get away with when we switch, when we try to use Ant to get some switches off and on, do they put him on Rudy instead of Chet or Hartenstein? So then you don't have such a big mismatch because neither Hartenstein or Chet can keep up with Ant if he starts going to the lane. They can't dance with him. I mean, Chet's got some length, but he doesn't want any part of Ant. He already posterized him. So I could see Williams being the guy that they put on him, put on Rudy or Randall or something like that to try to offset that switch game with that man-to-man thing. So Williams is a forward. He's getting a lot of minutes. He's not doing as much rebounding as Chet and Hartenstein is, but he's still out there being able to be effective. He's the second leading scorer for the team at almost 20 points a game. So It'll be interesting to see how they use him defensively. That's the part that I'm most concerned about is how they decide to use him and his length defensively. Are they going to put him on just straight up on Randall and just say go bull for bull boys, or are they going to try to go a little bit more length with Chet and try to get Randall into problems with offensive fouls? So it'll be interesting to see, but I can see Williams definitely being the guy that they want to have switch off onto Ant when he starts driving. He gets those switches off of Rudy.
All right, Brian, Minnesota's own Chet Holmgren.
Gotta love him. You know, I'm a hometowner. I love the homers, and hell of a career at Gonzaga and at Minnehaha Academy with Jalen Suggs, and you gotta love the homeboy. I mean, if you don't, he better be a douchebag. Chet, I mean, after his injury last year, what did he break his brittle hip falling down? I mean, he's back. He's a pogo stick. He's just an unconventional 4 or 5 nowadays. I mean, you think back to the days in the 90s and 80s of, post players. It's definitely a different dynamic, and the guy can ball, and we've seen it all 3 levels. My thing with him is I'm going to go back to how we're going to guard Shea. There's that Gnaw thing. They grew up playing against each other. Dante, I think, can handle a little bit of Shea as well. Even bite at small increments of time. But at the beginning of the game, of course, we want to see our guy, dude, Jaden, just harassing him. But I kind of think with Chet, I think the sneaky matchup's going to be there's going to be a 6'11" rim protector at the University of Washington that's going to be matched up with him an awful lot later in the game, and I'm very interested to see how that goes.
Do you think my assumption is that maybe they'll start with Jaden on Shea? I mean, what's everybody thinking? Yeah.
And then the Gnaw, then the Dante, maybe even bite for a little bit. Then they're going to move Jaden off, and I have a feeling that we're going to see those two on the court on each other an awful lot in the later half of each game.
Yeah, the cousins rivalry between Nikhil and Shea should be something interesting. I did see an interview today. It was probably from yesterday, but SGA referred to him as, basically his second brother and talked about that, but he said he's coming for his head. So let the games begin. All right. We'll close this up. We'll do predictions and any last thoughts. So Brett, any last thoughts or comments on this series and your prediction?
No, I kind of laid it all out. It just comes down to which version of the Wolves show up, protect the ball. Don't get caught up in the drama of OKC's hackathon. They're apparently just legal for them hackathon that they're going to throw at you. So just don't get caught up in that. Don't complain. Get back on defense. Figure this transition thing out. Protect the ball. Julius, Mike, Dante at times. Yeah, it depends on which will show up. It can absolutely be done. It's going to be tough. It's going to be the toughest series we faced thus far, as it should be. It's conference finals. Prediction, obviously I'm a homer. I'm going to bet with my heart. But I do, as much of a bet with the heart call as this is, I think it's doable. And I think, if we come out and punch them on the mouth tomorrow, they're coming off a 7-game series. I know the last time we theorized about an opponent coming off of 7 games didn't go quite the way we expected it to, but I mean, we've had plenty of rest. So if we can just steal one of these two at home, be it tomorrow or Thursday, we'll be in a good spot coming back to the crib. I'm going to say Wolves in 7. Been here before, got a good coaching staff, had a hell of a product again from March 1st on. So that's what we got to hang our hat on. Wolves in 7. It'll be tough, but we'll figure them out.
All right, Razor.
Not gonna lie, I came into this conversation thinking OKC in 6. They won 68 games, third ranked offense in the NBA, first ranked defense overall during this season, best net rating. They've been the best team in the NBA all year. and they've proven their mettle now against an all-time great in Denver. Or, I mean, excuse me, in Jokic. And granted, they were depleted by injury. They have a great coach. They have a superstar and what looks like an incredibly good supporting cast, tough-minded role players. But as I think about it more, and this is my heart, I think, coming through, is I'm starting to see these matchups where the Wolves, I mean, SGA, I mean, if you look at his stats, he was not incredibly efficient in the series. I mean, so far in the playoffs. And who's he had guarding him? Christian Brown, good defender, but where would he rank on the Wolves list of quality perimeter defenders? He wouldn't be our best. I think that's for sure. Memphis, who did they have to guard him? Bane? Bane was always in foul trouble, and I wouldn't say he's a great defender either. The Wolves can send waves of defenders. Jaden, Naw, Ant, Jalen Clark. I'm forgetting about, I mean, Julius Randle has been excellent defensively. And then you have to look at some of the struggles of the supporting players for OKC. Jalen Williams has not played well in the playoffs. 25% from three, 44% from the field. And he was apparently pretty bad last year in the playoffs as well. The other role players, Dort shooting 28% from three, Case and Wallace 34%, Chet Holmgren 32%. I do feel like the Wolves can pull this. It just feels like it might be their time. I feel like they can give them defensive looks that nobody else could or and can. And I feel like Ants, it's his time. And I think I think Nas is going to come around, and I think Randall is going to keep doing what he's doing. He just looks so locked in. He looks like he's just in the right place mentally. And again, I know I'm calling it from my heart, but I'm going to say either. I'm going to call the Wolves. I'm going to say in 6. I also want to add too that OKC is kind of in the same place as the Wolves were last year, coming off an emotional 7-game series. They have one day off. They're expected to beat the Wolves. The odds makers are saying it. I think the ESPN predictor says they have a 70% chance of winning. They look a little tight, and the Wolves play better when they're the underdogs. So I'm going, call me crazy. Call me a homer. Wolves in 6.
Well, to your credit, you were the only one who predicted the last series correct. At least game wise, I think the rest of us were all on board with the Wolves beating the Warriors. But Razor, you predicted it in 5, and you were right on the nail. They hit
I
the nail
did
right on that.
waffle though, remember? After they lost game 1. But thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you for giving me credit.
yeah, but your original, hey, you were never mathematically eliminated from your pick with the rest of us. So,
Yeah.
anyways, or actually, we weren't either. But, Mr. Steve, any final thoughts and a prediction?
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. The 3 things for me are: one, the number one killer of the Timberwolves is themselves, their energy, their focus, coming out and playing. They come out locked in and focused, they can beat them, right? We beat OKC, came back from where we spotted them a 24-point lead in the second half, and we came back with our rookies and beat them, right? We've been able to play them well enough this season. We've been hot down the stretch. They've been hot down the stretch. You look at our numbers in the playoffs here, very close, very similar. We have a better defensive rating. They have a better offensive rating. It's right there. So number one, us beating us, we have to be focused, come out with energy. 2, rebounding. It's all about rebounding. They're doing much better on the boards than we are, right? And then 3 is the turnover battle. We let these guys get up and run. We let these guys get out and start getting some turnovers and get some easy buckets, start going. They will open the floodgates on us and run us downhill. So those are my big 3 keys. That being said, my X factor, Mr. Finch. Let's see, is he a better coach this year than last year? Last year he didn't outcoach Dallas. Sorry, he didn't. We got killed the same way every game, every game, every game. Luca on the pick and roll, keeping the point guard on his back, tossing up those little things to their dunkers sitting there, and we gave up almost 12 points a game just to that. We didn't adjust the entire series. So our X factor is going to be Mr. Finch. Does he take the next step forward to get us over the hump? Can he outcoach his opponent there? That's going to be our big X factor. So for me, I'm going to go with yes. I'm going to say I'm going to have confidence. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to bring the not in positivity. Wolves in 6.
All right. No homerism amongst this group. Mr. Naughton.
Well, I got like 4 issues, 4 main factors on how this series is going to go. What Wolves team are we going to get? We're going to get that one we saw in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Mayhem. Are we going to see the one that we saw game 1 at the crib against Golden State? Or are we going to be rested and are we going to be prepared? That's the first factor. The second factor, and Mr. Steve, we got to stop agreeing. It's just unbecoming of both of us, is the chess factor between both head coaches. They're both, they've never gotten there, but they're both right there on the cusp. Which one wins? The third one is that foul calling. I mean, are they going to be fair? Are they going to swallow their whistle and let both teams play? Or are they going to do the bullshit that I brought up earlier? They fall on every possession on defense and they flop on every possession on offense. And as Razor said earlier, that's not how a playoff basketball works. My fourth factor. The NBA wants Wolves and Knicks with that trade, and that just I can't see them doing it. Wolves in 6, baby.
All right. The Twins started up their game again, but now it's pouring, so I don't know if they're going to stop it. 13-game winning streak, unfortunately, came to a halt yesterday, but the boys have been playing pretty good. So you guys had some of the similar factors that I did. I got 3 real quick, and then I'll give my prediction, and it's been flip-flopping all day. But first thing is the turnovers, and I think you mentioned it, Steve. This team, they will not get away with sloppy ball handling. I think a few of you pointed out that Mike Conley will probably have more minutes, as he should, because anyways, yeah, he's a calming effect out there. He's not going to turn the ball over, etc. So turnovers, I think experience plays a big key as well. And I know OKC got to the second round last year. Obviously, they're in the finals this year, but the Wolves for the last 4 years have been in the playoffs. Ant's already won more playoff games in his era than the franchise had prior to him. So it's huge. And we know Ant steps up in the playoffs, and I dare to say he's had a couple of good games here, but I don't know that he played as well through the first 2 rounds this year as he did last year. And I think a lot of you guys would agree with that. So I don't even know that we've seen the best of Ant yet. But I think that experience is going to play a factor. Not that they have a ton more than OKC, but they were here in the Western Conference Finals last year. And I think they know where things went wrong. I like the demeanor of them. They're not overly excited about where they're at. They expected to be there. But the last thing I'll say is Ant. I think this is the perfect opportunity for him to come out there and be the star that a lot of people are anointing him as, the face of the league, all that good stuff. So I expect him to bring his A game. I think he'll be extra motivated if they hand Shea that MVP trophy during the next 2 games, which could very well happen. I know when KG won in 2004, they did the ceremony before one of the playoff games. I think it might even been against the Lakers in the conference finals. So with that, I was all over the place, but I'm going to give my non-homered prediction of Wolves in 7. All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate it. I'm going to get going here because I think I got to put something on my side here. I feel like somebody's stabbing me again. But appreciate it. We will probably reconvene sometime Wednesday evening to recap tomorrow night's game. And that's a wrap. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you, Jim.